Have you ever asked AI for help with a simple task, like responding to a client email, only to get a reply that sounds so robotic and generic it's unusable? Well, don't give up on AI just yet, because the problem usually isn't AI, it's the instructions it's being given. So you can't think of AI as your best friend, but it's rather you need to think of it as a pattern matching machine. So if the pattern that you provide is thin, the results you get will be hollow. So just stick with me for the next 10 minutes, and the responses that you get from your AI will be relevant and meaningful, no matter what model you're using. So I'm going to go through 7 of the most common prompting pitfalls, and then we'll move on to some simple tweaks that'll turn your AI into a super-powered business assistant. All right, so the first one is the vague request trap. This mistake here is where you ask a broad question, like how do I plan a company event? Well, you could get anything back, like a 10-page essay or maybe one paragraph on how to rent a bouncy castle. So the results that you get back are not going to be what you need. Now, the other one is omitting context. This mistake is where you request something like, create a marketing plan for me, without specifying your industry, your budget, or your goals. In order for AI to deliver high quality advice, you need to provide some context. The kitchen sink syndrome is another common mistake people make, where you just cram everything into one paragraph, where you ask for a meal plan, a grocery list, emails. AI will get distracted and you're going to get results that are totally unusable. Now, ignoring personas, this is a big mistake. If you need to let AI know who it should be. Without a role, AI is going to give you some lackluster results. So giving a role like a high stakes lawyer, a marketing guru, something like that will get you much better results. Next mistake is failing to describe how the answer should look. So you need to provide some structure or format. Without that, you're going to get a wall of text, when in reality, maybe a checklist or a table would be more useful. And the mind reader assumption. This is where you assume AI knows your internal business shorthand. When you're asked, you talk about Jen from accounting or Joe in marketing, AI doesn't know what happened in your meeting yesterday. So you can't assume AI knows everything. The one and done mentality. This mistake is where you just take the first answer as the final version. So you settle for B- work. Instead, maybe some follow-up, you would have provided you some A+ responses. All right, now let's get down to the 5 golden rules that will improve your prompting techniques. So those 5 rules are: assign a role, be specific, provide context and constraints, define the format, and use examples. All right, let's get into the first one here, assigning a role. This is where you tell AI, you give AI a role, also known as a persona prompting. So you tell AI, act as a world-class SEO strategist. Or you might say you're a senior marketing copywriter. Things like that. Maybe for a technical role, you'll say act as a senior software architect with 20 years of experience in distributed systems. Cybersecurity expert. Act as a cybersecurity expert and explain the difference between such and such. You get the idea. All right. Now let's move on to being specific. This is very important here. So a vague request would be write about healthy eating. Instead, Write a 300-word blog post about the benefits of a Mediterranean diet for beginners. Use an encouraging tone and include a list of 5 easy-to-find ingredients. So you're getting very specific there. Just like if you tell AI, oh, draft an email to a client. Well, you're not going to get anything usable back like that. A more specific prompt would be write a polite email to a client requesting feedback on the recent project delivery. Include a brief summary of project highlights and ask for their satisfaction level. Okay, so now we'll move on to context. So AI is best when it solves a specific problem. So you need to provide the essential context. For example, if you just request a workout plan, you need to specify, I have a bad knee, I only have a 15-minute time limit. You might say, I want to work out on my lunch hour in office attire so I can't get too sweaty. The more specific you get, the better the outcome is going to be. Defining the format. So depending on what you want to get back from AI, if you define the format, you'll get something that's more usable and will require less work on your part to edit. So you might ask for results such as tables, JSON, Markdown, specific lists. So it just depends on your usage, but if you can provide something specific, the results that you get back will be, you will have to spend less time editing them. All right, examples. So if you have some examples, this is great to use. So if you want AI to write like you need to show it. So let's say you tell AI, I want to write an email in my style. Here is an example of an email I wrote recently. You paste that email in, and then you say, using that example, use the same tone to write a reply to this inquiry. So you can see if you have an example and you give it to AI, it'll write something more in your style and tone. All right, now we're going to go over some generic prompts and then the improved prompt from it. So the generic prompt here is write a blog post about AI. Instead of that, we're going to give it a role. Act as a senior content strategist for small businesses. Then we're going to be specific about how local bakeries can use AI for social media. And some context would be the audience is non-technical owners who are busy and overwhelmed. And then finally, we're going to give it some format here. Use bullet points and keep it under 500 words. All right, let's check out one more example here. The generic prompt here is write an email to a client. So our improved prompt would be act as a professional relationship manager, requesting a 2-week extension on a project deadline. And then we're going to give it the context here. The delay is due to a vendor error. We have a great relationship, but they are on a tight schedule. And then we're going to add some tone. Be confident and solution-oriented. Avoid over-apologizing. So you give it some constraint there. We don't want the AI to be too apologetic. We want to sound confident. Okay, well, thanks for listening today, and stay tuned for more advice on tech and AI topics.